Stick shift.
Stick shift. Okay. Would everything be working like it's supposed to?
I don't know. I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Jerry, you gonna have this vehicle running?
Yeah, but if I was you, what I would do?
I don't know.
You
We're
can go now.
working on that right now.
You can go on eBay. You can go on eBay and you can ask would it be compatible? They would tell you.
If what be compatible?
Like the motor that you put in there, and you describe the truck that you have, and they look at that cubic inch. Whether the motor is compatible, would it fit into that? Because if that motor won't fit, then you got to work on modification to get it to fit. Then you got to work on another modification with the transmission where it's bolted into the motor.
How do I modify the transmission to get it bolted into the motor?
Well, you look at what you want to call it. You cannot put like, okay, say most of your transmission requires like somewhere like 6 bolts to mount it in the back of the engine. But the one that you have, you look at the bolt that come out of the original transmission, you look at it and you look at the back of the motor and the flywheel, where the flywheel connected into the transmission as they connect together. See whether
So have 6 bolts on the engine where it bolts to the transmission.
Well, I mean, some of them got 6, some of them got 8.
Okay.
Some of them got 6, some of them got 8.
Okay.
Then
What I need to look at my transmission. What I need to check on the transmission.
what do you check on the transmission?
Yeah.
See whether the gear's compatible.
See if the gear's compatible. What gear am I looking for?
You're looking for the gear
No,
like
we good. I'm good.
as far as go. Okay, the truck was standard.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna put just a motor. You're gonna put just a motor in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you could go in there, what do you call it, YouTube, and you Google it with the YouTube, and they'll be able to tell you whether if it's compatible. They might be able to tell you what you need to do to change it to make it work.
Because you can't tell me. Can you tell me? Can you tell me?
I could, but there's a lot of detail that you gotta go through.
Okay, we got time.
There's a lot of detail you gotta go through. But the best thing I can tell you right now is, okay, since you already got the rear end on the truck already, you got the drive shaft on the truck already.
Yeah.
So now what you gotta look for is the connect between the transmission and the motor. Then you gotta lay the motor in there and make sure everything is compatible where it's not gonna put too much strain. Like let's say on an engine mounted, because if the engine mounted is not compatible, then you have to make it where the engine mounted will be compatible where the transmission in the truck, engine, be able to sit freely without having no complication. Because if they're not lined up all the way through,
How to hook my tachometer up? The truck's got a tachometer in the dash.
well, the truck got tachometer. Well, your tachometer usually run on what they call your transmission. It goes in the bottom, then it comes into your speedometer. Because I don't know whether yours got the.
Charles, you're wrong.
Huh?
The tachometer does not hook up into the transmission.
Some truck they do.
None of them hook up to the
Yes, they
transmission.
do.
None of them.
Okay. Where do they hook up at? Where do they hook up at?
To the ignition usually.
Huh?
On a gasoline engine, they hook up the ignition.
To the ignition where?
Huh?
Where?
The white wire coming out of the distributor.
I never seen one.
Bon Jovi.
There's no
Never seen one.
tachometer hooks up to the transmission.
It work in the transmission.
None of them.
Yes, it does. It work
None.
in the transmission.
None.
It don't work on the distributor.
A
Tachometer don't work on the distributor.
tachometer hooks up to the transmission.
It don't work on the distributor. It never worked on the distributor. It work on the transmission.
A tachometer works off the transmission.
The cable come up from the dash and it run on the side of the transmission.
That's a speedometer cable.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's what it is.
We're talking
That's
about.
what I mean.
We're talking about tachometer.
Well, tachometer, all it does is your RPM. That's what it tells you. Whether
It
goes
don't
up
hook
or
up.
down.
You said it hooked
Well,
up the transmission.
No, what you're talking about, your tachometer, what you're talking about a compression ratio. Like it tell you how much compression, power.
Man, you're jumping all over. Now you're talking about compression ratio.
Yeah, that's what a tachometer is.
A tachometer is compression ratio?
Yeah, it tells you how much compression you got coming out of the engine. Yes, it is.
Shit.
Yes, it is.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it is.
A tachometer does tell you compression ratio.
when you rev it up,
When you rev it up,
when you rev the
the
motor up,
tachometer tells you how much compression ratio you got.
compression ratio. I know.
Huh?
I know. Now you know what the oil stuff you're talking about. You got your oil pressure gauge, and it's hooked up to your oil sending unit, and it's hooked up to the motor.
There, you said something made sense.
Look, no. Everything has to make sense. Your tachometer works the same principle too, but it's part of your engine component. Okay, and then you got your speedometer. It runs down from your speed. It goes into the bottom of your transmission on the side of it. So that's what it.
Yep.
That's the way it
And your
works.
tachometer tells you how much compression ratio you got.
They had a problem with the centrifugal clutch.
Uh huh. You had a car has centrifugal clutch.
Yeah, I had a car that had centrifugal clutch. It was standard. And what happened usually, if your speed,
Cars don't have centrifugal clutches.
huh?
Cars do not have centrifugal clutches.
Japanese do.
No, they
Japanese
don't.
do. Yeah, Japanese do.
No.
Japanese do. Standard gas for centrifugal clutch. It's called a hydraulic clutch. That's what it's called. It's called a hydraulic clutch. Centrifugal clutch. American use the regular standard clutch, but Japanese use centrifugal clutch. It works with hydraulic. You don't even have to push. It just touch it lightly, and that's hydraulic. Because I had a Subaru that had the same problem.
The centrifugal clutch is what they put on go-karts.
No. They put it in an import car too. Import car.
They do not have centrifugal clutches.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, that's the system they use on foreign car. But American use regular clutch. You gotta actually mash it hard, and they go by pressure, build up on the what they call a pressure plate on the clutch and stuff like that. Yeah. We used to put them in there, and then you have to go in there and use what they call a clutch adjuster. When you put that clutch in there, you gotta adjust it and stuff like that. Make you take all the slack out of it and the pressure.
Faithfully, Journey. 9411.